Hello and welcome to the 9th lecture of Python concepts, that is functions, one very fundamental part of programming. And in the last class, we have learned about how to use while loop, break, and continue statements to use several functionalities effectively. Now, we want to introduce the concept of function. That is, many times we need to do the same thing, but we don't want to do this manually for different values. Let's say I have to do the same task for 100 values, or I want to test a block of code for different values, but I don't want to write a new block of code each time I want to run the code. So that's why I have to automate this function, automate this objective. And to facilitate this, I can define a function. I can write a generalized chunk of code, which can be called and which can be executed for different values, and it will be behave or return a result accordingly. So this is a very simplified syntax of function. So to define a function, you have to use the keyword def, and you have to give a name to a function. It can be arbitrary, anything. And inside the parentheses, you have to pass an argument, that is the value for which you will call the function. And inside that indentation of the function, you will do something, you will return or print something, or you will do an operation, something like that. And this is how you call that function. You call with the name and you call with the specific argument. So this function, what it does is that its name is find square. I have named it arbitrarily. It wants to find the square value of a particular number. That is, it will return number times number. So if I call this function find square with the arbitrary value 20, it will return the square of 20 by multiplying it by itself. So let's say if we run it for any other value, let's say 5, it should return 25. So that's how a function actually works. You can save this block of code anywhere, and if you call this function with any number, it will just return its square. And also you can do some other works with this. For example, I use the def keyword to introduce initiate a function. I'll name it greetings, and you can pass multiple arguments. Let's say it will take 2 arguments, name and stuff. So I want to print a customized greeting for customers by taking their name, and I will ask them to take a stuff. So inside the function, what it's doing is it is printing a string, greetings plus the name that you have called with, and also take a stuff, the stuff that you have called with. For example, if I call this function with name X and stuff chocolate, it will return greetings X, take a chocolate. Or if you call it with A and cookie, it will show greetings A, take a cookie. So that's how you can automate the functionalities. And also you can use for loop or conditionals inside a function. You can actually do anything that you have learned so far inside a function. So let's say I would like to write a function to find out whether a number is even or not. So I'm defining a function called find even, and I'm calling it with a num. And inside that function, I'm running an if statement, an if statement. If the definition of even is satisfied, that is, if the modulus operator with 2 return is equal to 0, it will print even, or else it's not even, so I will print odd. So if I call this function with number 11, it will show odd. But if I test it with an even number, then it will return even. So the last example with function is that it's increased number with nums. Let's say you want to call it with a list, and you want to increase the value of each number, and you want to multiply each number by 2. And at the end, you want to return those increased numbers. So that's why what you have to do is you have to pass a list called nums. And I would like to collect the increased numbers in an empty list called new nums. So I will run a for loop inside that for I in nums, that is for each element in the list that I'm passing, it will append it to the empty string, the empty list, new nums. It will use the append utility, and inside it will store the doubled value of each element, and then at the end it will print the new values. So for example, I'm calling this function increase number with the list 2, 4, and 5. So what it will do, it will run a for loop through each element, and in this new nums, this empty list, it will collect the doubled values of each number. That is, for 2, it will collect 2 times 2, that is 4. And then in the for loop, it will go to the next element. It will collect 4 times 2, that is 8. And it will go to the next element. It will collect 5 times 2 equal to 10. So at the end, it will print the new numbers, 4, 8, and 10. It will print the new nums list. So that's how we can use a for loop inside a function. That's what I had to share about functions. In the next lecture, we will introduce the concept of object-oriented programming or classes. Thanks.